Sukui Garbode, and welcome to Cassus Café. And welcome to our first review of the Visions Season 2. We're going to be talking about each episode individually. Hopefully we'll have some good, fun stuff to talk about while Visions is happening. But I'm here with Kleina.
Hello.
And Tykoth.
Hey.
No Wookiee growls for us today? Yeah, it's a little bit weird because we're without our main guy, Captain. Not sure why, but he's not joining us this time. But maybe for some future episodes. But yeah, so we're going to talk about, in this episode, the SITH, episode 1. So what's your guys' initial thoughts?
Yeah, so like coming out of the first one, I think it's wonderful that they did anime for people that love that and appreciated it. I'm sure you did a lot. It's not like my personal take, so as soon as I got into this one, I loved that it wasn't just anime style, and I loved that right off the bat I was like personally just a lot more interested just to see all these different things, and especially with this first one being from Spain, just a vastly different take than anything we've seen so far. I really felt like this one I every year I subscribe to Sundance and Slam Dance and do their animated short film competitions, and this one really feels much more in line with that. Really, really artistic.
Yeah.
More so than maybe most things I've seen from Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
It's about that immediate direction shift.
Yeah, for the first one, it was a little bit of a rocky start for me, honestly, because I enjoy all the different art styles for sure, but this one, it was kind of hard on the eyes because I was confused at first, like what was happening, where the setting was. The art style made it everything like seem very empty and like she was in a void, and I don't know, it was really hard to watch like visually for me.
I really like a lot the opening frame because it's like very confusing whether or not it's 2D or 3D, and you're kind of like off-put, but then it dollies forward and it rolls with him and you're like, oh, it's three-dimensional. Like it literally looks like a 2D painting, and then you go through it.
Yeah, to me it looked like, you know how people do paintings in VR? That's kind of what it looked like to me.
I also think that and you probably get this towards the end too, I also think that it's just a blank canvas at the beginning, and that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
I watched the extras of how they made, not just how they made the episodes, because really they didn't explain how they actually painted this or whatever, but the vision behind it, they said that it was meant to be that she was, I guess, used to be the apprentice of a Sith. And so this void kind of area is, she kind of created her own world to create inside of. It was really weird.
It was like she created her own area in the Force to hide from her master.
It's very
it was kind of bizarre and odd. I like everything after that, but
I think it's very surrealist, and it's less, all of these are less plot focused and more just kind of artistic in general. But even that opening, how it's pure white around everything, and then she is kind of marked over in this black hole that's painted for herself. It's just very symbolic and tells a lot without actually saying anything.
Yeah.
Super, very abstract.
Yeah, I think the episode for me picked up when we actually started getting some color filling out the place. And she was investigating the darkness, and I kind of broke out of her little world and went into the planet and stuff. The art style on the planet and everything, I love that.
I think once she left her little house painter's den area is when I started to really like it. I really like her
wheel bike.
Yeah, her wheel bike thing that she has, and how later on you see her play with it, turns sideways. It's so cool.
Very much has Grievous influence there.
Yeah. And the Sith guy looks really cool.
Yeah.
Kleina thought, is that Darth Bane or something? No.
These are nothing.
He has a thing over his mouth. I wasn't sure.
And he looks more like Malgus than anything.
I think for me the strongest point, and I look for this in all of Star Wars, and very, very rarely do I get it, is the bending between good and evil and the middle ground of it. And I just love that she doesn't end up on either side of the argument. She like realizes
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have balance between both. And I'm always looking for that.
It is interesting to see.
Yeah.
She's not necessarily like a failed Sith, but someone that was training to be a Sith and chose not to continue, goes on to be like an artist. It's interesting to see what other things people choose to do within the Star Wars universe, because I don't think we've ever seen an artist in the Star Wars universe except for like, I don't know, maybe a trader.
Well, we've seen
or
Sabine.
something.
Sabine is.
But like, it also reminded me. So I'm reading Republic Commando Hard Contact, and they talk about how the Jedi that fail often end up going into agricultural fields because they're really good with using what power they're able to harness to like help grow the
plants
and stuff. And she's using what she can do with the Force to paint, which is kind of cool to see how they can use their powers for other things.
I think that is going to be a big thing. This is skipping ahead a little bit, but not too much. It's just like throughout these, everybody exploring the Force or expressing it in like a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, I love that. Just it's like the Force as an expression and not as a plot tool. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, something that came up while we were watching it, we've watched the first 3 so far, and not trying to, we're just kind of like an allusion to other stuff, future episodes and whatnot, but I feel like it probably what's going on with the Visions is that Lucasfilm goes to these animation studios and they give them a prompt, basically.
Well, I actually read an interview about this.
Yeah?
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, that some studios they gave them options, or the studios would pitch to them ideas, and it depended on the studio they went to. So some of them they had really rough ideas, but for a lot of them they let the studios basically pitch 2 or 3 ideas to them, and then they would kind of workshop off of that. So a lot of these are studio ideas.
We predicted that maybe they give them like a few key points to hit on.
Yeah, maybe a few elements
like
to
you have
incorporate.
To have these certain things within your story.
Because especially
I was reading on their interview, and they thought it was very interesting that a lot of people are connecting this idea of like family to a lot of these. And they said that just happened. Like there wasn't like some sort of a theme with that just sort of.
There's also this innate Sith presence as well in all these episodes so far, or
not in
all of them, but most of them. And
notice who the main character is in each episode.
Yeah, so far there's always a female lead in this second season as well that we've noticed.
Yeah, I've finished now, but
yeah, I think there might be one episode that isn't, but like I said, we've only seen the first 3, me and Kleina. We just also finished rewatching season 1, and we noticed similar aspects where there's elements that are in every episode. Like there's kyber crystals that are very prevalent in the first season.
Like they either mention it or Jedi it's super important.
Yeah, or like a Jedi versus Sith kind of element as well.
It's not all of them, but in this one.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Yeah, I was thinking in this season it might be something like light versus dark and the struggle between the two, because especially this one and I think the third one, there was a lot of like mixing in between.
This one hits it the most, which I love. And she's like, I am, or what was her line?
I'm no Sith or something like that.
Well, yeah, but then she goes like, the darkness is a part of me.
Let's talk about her lightsaber for a second.
Very cool.
Do you like that?
It's interesting to see a slightly curved blade and then how it's 2 different colors, the 2 sides.
It's like symbolizing her duality
of the Force.
The Force, and stuff like that.
It is really neat.
And when they shift in their fight later on, and you're seeing like the black and white paint strokes behind them change, it almost gets like a little digital or a little like stenciled look. Really, really cool.
Man, I'll say when she like kind of went back from this fight back into her white room, I was kind of confused because I was like, how is this hallway morphing back into her art studio? I was so confused for a minute.
Oh yeah, see, and that's where it's like really up my alley. Is it's like very surrealist. It's like all a mind, very very emotion based. There's nothing like logical to kind of think about.
And I think it's cool seeing like the black taking over and then it turning like to color taking over and all that.
And because this one is made by like a Spanish studio, you can really, you can see the color, of course, is like a very big part of it. but
Mhm.
also just the kind of like more mystical nature of it too. It feels very Spanish. They're very, mystical in a lot of things, and
Yeah.
really cool. These are one of the few that feel truly different because these cultures have kind of made them a lot different, which is neat.
Yeah, I think that is a really neat and good change from the first season. Like, I love anime, but all of the first season were Japanese studios, so there was like basically the only difference was the art styles to the
Yeah.
different studios. But this one, like, it's like different cultures as well, attempting to tell their own stuff on it,
Yeah.
and the art styles are way more diverse.
I really like all the cool civilizations that they come up with. They're so different because they're all from different civilizations on Earth. And they're creating different civilizations that we haven't seen before, too.
And I don't watch a ton of Spanish animation, but like with the next one in Ireland and Chile, I have seen some of that, so can kind of compare more there. But it's very interesting to see those trends. Yeah, just because they would never appear in a normal movie or a Mandalorian or anything like that. This is all just really, really unique stuff. And like I said, it just feels like the most pure art that Star Wars has ever been.
Oh yeah.
Like zero commercial or very little commercialism. Surprise! It's like a lot more daring and interesting than I anticipated it being.
Yeah.
And I really like this series because if you watch the extras, the people that are creating these are like so excited to create a Star Wars show. It's so nice to see people that actually were fans of it being able to create within it.
This is probably a super hot take, but like, I mean, I would prefer any of these art styles to be used rather than like kind of the Clone Wars art style.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, the art style so far, my favorite one is from the second episode.
Interesting. Yeah,
but we'll get into that when we talk about the second episode.
Pretty much all of them except for one. I really would prefer these studios to handle the animation of their animated shows more so. But that's I mean, all of that is personal taste. There's not like a right or wrong when it comes to styles. It's all just taste. I just personally love these more.
I've never, except for one exception, I've never thought that American animation was looked that great.
And is that one time Avatar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like anime style.
Yeah. They're basically emulating another country.
And even like the old classic like Disney animation stuff.
Oh, I love that.
There's a few that I like, but as a kid watching it, I wasn't a huge fan because it seemed too dark and like rough. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I always had a weird disconnect from it because I wasn't a huge fan of the art style of the old animated stuff.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't feel like America's the strongest animation by a long shot. Man, I liked this one so much, just right out of the gate, just so much different. I had no expectations really, but I think because of that, I was in the right mindset for it.
Yeah, for sure. I was super hyped when the trailer came out, and so far it hasn't really disappointed me. This one was the only one that kind of threw me off at the beginning because I was just kind of trying to figure out what was going on with the empty white room and everything. It's just weird visually, but once the episode got going, it looked better and it felt better. So,
and I think rewatching it is easier because you actually kind of understand what's happening. But when you're just thrown into it and you don't know, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I think knowing the ending and the emotion helps you understand why there's a blank canvas.
Definitely.
That's literally her, or metaphorically her mind.
Yeah.
That she's like kind of trapped herself in and is trying to break out, or trying to even figure out if she desires to break out or not. The kind of hold that these myths have over you. That's more what I take over it, is the ideas of the Jedi and the Sith. How powerful is that, and are you beholden to them?
Yeah.
The literal trap that you're making for yourself.
That's good. All right, should we do our 0 through 10 for this episode?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with you, Tyler.
Man, I'm gonna have such a hard time rating these because there is like with the other ones, there's like a technical aspect and they're literal shows, so they're easier to kind of put in sort of a box and figure out maybe what you think of it. But these are just like pure expression.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say, wow, that was wrong expression or right expression. So I'm just going to say 10.
Fair.
It just is expression.
Yeah. I think as an episode, just purely a one-off, just like any of these episodes are. Art style's good. The concept is good. All the action and animations pretty solid, clean. And I like the particle effects going on with their like lightsabers and stuff. So I think I would give it more of a conservative rating of 8.5 to 9.
Yeah, I like this episode. I think I would love to see more behind the scenes of how they actually made it, like how they painted it and all that, because it looks so pretty. I really like the new like the technology type things that they put in this. I like the new lightsaber. I like the new wheel bike thing. I like her little droid. I think those are really inventive and cool. Don't give 10s unless I like absolutely like am in love with it.
Yeah.
But so I'd probably give it a 9 because I think it's a really good like one-off, but it doesn't have, I don't know, that.
Also, something to note.
For me.
Compare this season compared to last season. Last season seemed like they were more of pilot episodes to longer series, whereas so far that doesn't feel that way too much to me. These episodes feel just really like one-offs instead of pilots.
Yeah, this one definitely felt like a full story wrapped up short
Also,
to show this one.
This is my favorite, like, so far as like compared to the first season. I like this episode more than any episode in the first Visions.
I think I still prefer the 9th Jedi, I think it's called, from the first season. But yeah.
My favorite is still the one where Jabba's nephew is being put on trial and they have to play music for their life. That's my favorite personally.
She likes the band one episode too.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
Well, this was our discussion on the SITH Vision Season 2, Episode 1. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and catch us next time when we discuss Episode 2. Thank you, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.